Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. My name is Abdul Karim alias from University Science Malaysia. Welcome to this part 7 of a video series on the topic of engaging learners in online session. In the previous video, part 6, I have discussed about social presence, or the meaning of social presence, and also how you would design and incorporate the elements of social presence in your online course. As a revision, we are discussing about this community of inquiry theoretical framework for engaging online learners. This is one of the most popular model that we can use to design our online course to ensure that we would be able to engage our students in online course. So there are three elements in community of inquiry: social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. So in part 6, I have talked about social presence in detail. In this video, part 7 of the series, I want to talk about cognitive presence. What's the meaning of cognitive presence? What are the elements of cognitive presence, and how would we design our online course to engage our students and to incorporate the elements of cognitive presence in our online course? So let me jump to my PowerPoint. So we know that this is the model for the learning domain. We have three elements: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. And we are very familiar with Bloom taxonomy for especially for the cognitive domain. And when we design our course, whether it's face-to-face or online course, it is best to be able to integrate these three elements: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor seamlessly. So as this quote by Carroll and Tomlinson here, healthy classrooms are characterized by thought, wandering, and discovery. So basically learning is about discovery, letting the students to construct their own learning, create their own meaning. And learning is also about connecting the dots. So in the previous video, we discussed about first to be able to connect the students, and then through designing the elements of social presence in our course. So if we design our course in such a way to engage the students cognitively, so this is where the cognitive presence come in. As Sandy Novak said, it is not until students construct their own knowledge that true learning occurs. So well-designed online course, if we design for cognitive presence, we should be able to allow or to let students to construct their own knowledge, create their own meanings, and then only true learning occurs. Effective learning will occur. So cognitive presence in community of inquiry is basically one of the elements to get students engaged in our course. When we talk about student engagement, there are at least three different types. One is called behavioral engagement, second one is affective engagement, and then the third one is about cognitive engagement. So we talk about cognitive presence in the community of inquiry. Actually, we are talking about cognitive engagement here. So when we design the learning activities for cognitive presence, there are three essential aspects when we design these learning activities. First, we want to engage the student by designing appropriate learning activities that would engage students at various levels of cognitive domain of Bloom taxonomy. Then get them to interact, design appropriate learning activities that would encourage students to interact with their peers, and then design appropriate learning activities that would allow the students to do and create tangible output. So if you look at the cognitive domain, based on the Bloom taxonomy here, when we design for cognitive presence, we want to focus more on the higher level thinking or higher order thinking, where students should be able to apply, to analyze, to evaluate, and to create something tangible. And this can be designed as part of in-class activities, meaning that in online session we can do it synchronous, but we can also design it as asynchronous activities. uh, Before they come for the synchronous session, live synchronous session, they can do the activities asynchronously. So we can get them to do the activities before they join the live session. So cognitive presence is basically, by definition of in the community of inquiry, is the extent to which learners can construct and confirm meaning through sustained reflection and discourse. So the key word here, construct, confirm meaning, reflection, and discourse. So basically cognitive presence to engage them cognitively. We want the students to put their thinking hat. We want the students to apply their critical thinking, problem solving. So he or she goes through the process of constructing knowledge, inquiring, exploring, and thinking. So how does cognitive presence lead to critical thinking? So there are four categories of event when students are engaged in any learning activities that we design. So if the activity is designed in such a way that it would take them into the critical thinking, engage in the critical thinking process. So these are the events that would take place: triggering event, exploration, integration, and resolution. So we can illustrate in this diagram here. In order to get the students engaged cognitively, so these are the event, triggering event. We want the student to become interested in the topic. So invoke interest first in order for them, to be engaged and hooked, engrossed and immersed in the process of solving the problem. Then explore, be motivated to explore, ask questions, discuss. So we want to get them into the state of motivation, because motivation is a state, is either on or off. And integration, leading students to construct knowledge, learn and think by means of discourse and discussion. So this is where they will be able to construct knowledge, just like getting the students to put the Lego pieces or the puzzle pieces together to make a complete picture. And resolution, think critically, apply the knowledge to other areas, draw conclusions, and demonstrate knowledge. So this is a sense making or meaning making. This is where the highest level in the Bloom taxonomy, they will be able to make sense of the information, and because they are now able to apply, solve the problem, and create meaning from there. So we need to ensure that we have a cognitive presence in our online course. So we need to design some learning activities for cognitive engagements. So I'd like to bring you back to the module here. By the way, the link to this module can be found in the description below the video. So you have access to this whole module here. So to design for cognitive presence, let's see some tips here before we go further. Tips for developing cognitive presence: set high expectation for student inquiry and expectations. Ask learners to identify their learning goals for the course, examine, challenge, and probe student responses, thereby encouraging analysis of ideas. Use discussion summaries to focus on core concepts and learning outcomes. Develop learning activities that are relevant, challenging, collaborative, engaging, and require deep thinking. Coach and encourage learners to have reflective discussion while also sharing thoughts and questions with their peers. Ensure that project outcomes are meaningful and long-lasting. Encourage learners to make thoughtful decisions and apply what they are learning when possible to real-world situations. When appropriate, utilize group and team-based learning to build collaborative knowledge and solve in-depth problems. So the bottom line is cognitive presence includes activities developed and actions taken to encourage students to explore their ideas, thoughts, and beliefs to meaningfully connect with the content and facilitate learning. Okay, so I will stop here for this video. In the next video, I will continue with cognitive presence, and I will show you some of the learning activities that probably that you can use, some examples which you can adopt and adapt to design for cognitive presence in your online course. So I'll see you in the next video.